Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to discuss GraphQL. For this session, I didn't had much time to prepare for the session and do a heavy editing. So we'll keep it simple. We'll have a hands-on session. I will tell you what is the advantage of GraphQL and what are the possible ways you can use it and why we will use a GraphQL over REST API. So let's get started. First, let's understand what is GraphQL. GraphQL is a query language for your API. To understand GraphQL, let's look at the REST API scenario. So in the GraphQL, you have only one endpoint and you can have multiple queries to fetch different types of data. On the other hand, in the REST API, for each type of data, there is a specific endpoint. Whenever you want a different type of data, for example, you want to get users, you have to hit the user endpoint. If you want to get customers, you need to hit the customer endpoint. GraphQL has few major components like the schema, which is a master blueprint which holds all the data available in the API. In terms of Salesforce, Salesforce takes care of it. You don't have to specify anything in the schema. In a normal technology or in other technology, you have to define the schema as well. But here you don't have to. Then we have query. Query is the get version of the API where you can fetch the data from the server using specific query. Then we have mutation, which is used for create, update and delete. This is the reason I'm making this video right now, because in the Spring 26 release of Salesforce, Salesforce started to support mutation. And then we have resolvers and subscription. Those we don't have to worry about it now because it is not supported by Salesforce platform as of now. So now, in what scenarios I will use GraphQL over REST API? REST API is great for system integration and data movements, but GraphQL shines in specific reasons. For example, when you want to get a complex data structure in a single query, you can get that easily with GraphQL. You can have dynamic UI adaptation without even writing an Apex because GraphQL is supported in LWC natively. And also for mobile application where you can pull large graph for offline use and store it locally. One of the super feature of GraphQL in Salesforce or in general is read after write. Basically, for example, if you want to create a case and you want to get the case number in response, so what you will do in the REST API scenario, you will make a post request to create the case. You will just get the case ID. You will not get the case number. To get the case number, you have to fire another request in the REST to get to query the case number. But in GraphQL, you can create the case and in the same response, you get the case number also. I will show this example in the demo so you will understand better. So now let's get started and do the hands-on. So first I'm going to set up a fresh project where we can work on so that you can see it from the scratch. So I created this new project. Now we'll open this project into VS Code. Before creating the scratch org, we'll make some changes in the config and project.json. We have to make the version 66.0 because that is where the mutation is supported. And I will specify certain attributes in the config file for the scratch org. For example, has sample data and the country. And there is one important parameter I want to highlight, which is release. So basically, if a version is in preview and you want to check that features, you can have the release as preview. So that, for example, current version is 65 and you want to have 66 version features. So you can specify preview, but it is not needed for me as of now because I think it is already there for the sandboxes. So I will remove the preview parameter and we'll create a scratch org now. We've specified all the parameters for scratch org. The name is GraphQL and it is validity for 15 days. We'll specify wait for 5 minutes. Okay, so now the scratch org is ready. As you can see, the GraphQL scratch org is created. Now for this demo, I want to use an LWC component and from the LWC, I want to use GraphQL so that I can fetch the data from Salesforce org. Now to create a skeleton LWC, you can either do it by yourself or you can use Agentforce Vibe. I've been using Agentforce Vibe from quite some time and it takes some practice to understand the way you have to prompt it. Here I am specifying that, okay, I want to just create a skeleton LWC with the GraphQL demo name and it should be available in app page and home page with a title. So as you can see, it is creating the LWC component. Now the component is ready and I'm going to deploy this blank LWC component to our org using command line. You can also do it using wipe, but I prefer certain things to have control of my own. And now you can see it is deployed in the org. Now let's go to the org and we will create a lightning page, app page. We'll name it as GraphQL home or demo. I will choose a two region component because in the one region I want to show the query and the second region I want to show the mutation. So I will add the lightning component there, and now uh, we'll save it and we will activate it and add it to our sales app. And now we'll go to our sales app and we see the blank LWC component is there added to the page. Now it's time for us to add some code. So for this component, what I want to do is to show a list of account. For that, I have added the list on the LWC page, and which is iterating over a accounts variable, accounts list or array, you can call it. And to add GraphQL or to use GraphQL into your LWC, you just need to import the UI GraphQL API library. You don't need any Apex. That's all. And now I have made the skeleton ready for the iteration, and I also have my array parameters and everything. Now it's time to create a query. Now to create a GraphQL query, you just need the wire adapter. As soon as you type wire, you will have some autocompletion. This is all this auto completion is little annoying because it is prone to a lot of mistakes, so be careful about it. For example, GraphQL query structures is little complex. There are a lot of nodes, and one single parenthesis can lead to an error which takes so much time to debug. So all this AI and everything, it is good for certain things, but it is also very error prone. So if you can see the query structure of GraphQL, we have the account demo. This is the query name. Then you have certain tags or nodes, and then we are querying account and we are saying first 10, which is limit. And then we have the nodes, which is ID, name, and industry. This is the fields we are querying. And you see there is something called value. In the name, we have value. And what does that mean is basically whatever the value stored in the Salesforce database, that will fetch it for you. There is also called display value, which is the UI, for example, especially for currencies, where it has the currency tag and the commas and the dots. So that will be fetched for you, but the value will be just the numbers. So based on your use case, you can either use value or display value. And just to showcase this, I'm going to query the annual revenue field, and I'm going to get the display value only of that, so that it displays the currency symbol and the commas and everything. Now, in the return function of the wire adapter, the data contains all the nodes of the GraphQL structure, and we have to traverse that to get only the account list. We don't need anything else. So we are doing that. Now we are going to save this, and let's move on to the HTML side. There we are going to add all our fields like name, industry, and annual revenue. You can notice in the annual revenue, I am using display value because that is what we are fetching. And let's save this and deploy this. Let's go to the org, refresh the page. And as you can see, we are getting the data. So now let's make the query a little complex. I just don't want to show a simple example. And we will add some complexity so that you understand how it works. So first of all, I like the code in a structured way. For example, in Apex also, you use helper, factory, and so on supporting classes. The GraphQL query gets very long. So what I will do is I've created a factory JS file, and I'm going to move the query to the JS file so that the actual class or the actual JS file remains a little shorter, and we will pass the parameters dynamically. So as you can see, now I have imported the factory JS and the function, and I'm going to replace my query with the function so that the code becomes a little shorter. Now what I want to do is I want to pass the limits dynamically using a dropdown rather than a fixed limit of 10 records. So I'm going to take some variables to show the dropdown, and I'm going to, on the HTML side also, I'm going to use a combo box to add the record limit, which is nothing but some numbers 5, 10, 20, 50. And automatically, as soon as you select it, it will pass into the query and you will get those number of records. And with the combo box, you have the combo box handle change, which will update the record limit variable. And to pass the variables in GraphQL, you need a special variable attribute that can take just a variable or a function. So we will use a function here because we also want to add additional parameters in upcoming code. So I will take a dynamic function here and I'm going to specify the limit as the record limit. Now let's save this and deploy. And now we will move to our Salesforce side and we'll see the code is working or not. Let's refresh the page. And now you see it is not working. So let's investigate what is happening. So after spending some time, I realized there were some issues in the when I added the function. There was an additional parenthesis was added by auto completion, and in the variable function, I didn't specify the get. In the handle change of the combo box, I am parsing the incoming values into a integer. It is not required as such. I'm just keeping it for the safe case because GraphQL is very strict on the parameter types. So now let's save this. And as you can see, the code is now working. We change the combo box, selects the number of record, and the records are displayed. Now let's add more complexity to the code. In the query, I want to use a where filter and we will specify the where filter. Here also I am using a custom variable called custom filter so that I can pass the dynamic filters in the query. Now, what I want to do is I want to take an industry list, just like the dropdown we used for limit. I want to use a dropdown for industry list, and I've put some dummy industries, and we'll take the default value as default industry value as all. So when we select all, you get all industries. When you select a specific industry, you will get the specific industry value. Now in the query, you see when I am passing the limit, we are specifying the data type as integer. And when I am using custom filter, I am using the data type as account filter. So this is a specific naming convention. For standard object, it is object name underscore filter. And for the custom object, it is custom object name underscore c underscore filter. You will see some sample values on the screen. Now in the variables function, we will add the custom filter. So in the custom filter, we'll add industry equal to either it is all, then all, otherwise we get the values from the drop down. So you see have added here industry EQ, which is basically the equal to operator. So there are different types of operator which is supported by GraphQL for Salesforce. So I've listed down on the screens with some sample examples. So you can check that for your project. Now, so after adding the filter, I have to add the necessary changes for the drop down. So I forgot to add the handle change. So we'll add the handle change to provide the industry value. And now we'll save this and we'll check if the code is working or not. As you can see, it is not working. And I know exactly the reason why it is not working, because when we are specifying the where filter for the industry, and if the value is all, we are passing blank, which is not correct. So when we want to fetch all the industries, we don't pass the industries at all. So that is the change we need to make. And for that, we need to get a little creative. So rather than putting the custom filter directly, we'll use another function for the where filter values. I'm designing is for industry, but if there are multiple filters, you need to get a little creative. So what I'm doing is, if the industry value is all, I'm just returning the custom filter as blank. And if the industry value has some other value, I am assigning the direct value. So now let's save this, and you can see on the page. Now you can see on the page, it is not working again. And let's see the code. Okay, so I know what is the problem. I forgot to assign the new function to the custom filter. Let's save it again. Now you can see on the page it is working. You get the 5 default values, which is because the 5 is the default value for the filter. Sorry, 5 is the default value for the limit. And then you can change the industry and you get the specific industry records. So with this, our query example is completed. Now let's look at the mutation. So for the mutation, what I've thought is I've created another component, GraphQL mutation demo. And in this, I've taken a form to create a case where we have account name, subject, description. So what I want to do is here from this query component, As soon as I click on the row, the account name should transfer to the mutation demo component. Now, since it is a separate LWC component, to transfer a message and data from across the different component, so for that we need to use a lightning messaging channel. So in this messaging channel, we are going to pass two parameters, the account name and the account ID, because the case will need the account ID, but on the display we need to show the account name. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a button which on click will publish the parameters to the messaging channel. Now for the messaging channel, you need to import the messaging channel, and based on the component, for example, if you are a publisher, you need a separate type of import, and if you are a subscriber, you need a separate type of import. Here the query demo will be the publisher. So we are going to use the import as a publish and messaging context, and on click of button, as you can see, we are publishing the account ID and account ID and the account name. Now we have to go to the GraphQL mutation demo. Here we are going to import subscribe, unsubscribe, messaging context, application scope from the messaging service. Now in the connected callback, you get the call the method subscribe channel, and the disconnected callback, you call the unsubscribe channel. In the subscribe channel, you have the handle message where you handle the message which is coming from the channel. And here you can see I'm taking the values into the account object, and that account object I'm going to use on our HTML as a value for the account name input. Now we are going to save this and deploy them, and let's see on the page, does it work? So here I'm going to reload the page, click on the plus icon, and you can see the account name has been populated. Let's try one more, edge communication, that is also working. So now we know our messaging channels is working. Let's move on to the mutation side of it. Here also you need to import the GraphQL. Now in the create case, now from the create case function, which is called when you click the save button, we are going to specify it as async because it's a asynchronous callout which is happening to Salesforce server. And similar to our query, we also specify the mutation query. So here remember the keyword is mutation, there the keyword was query. Here we are specifying the create case, and we are passing certain parameters like account ID, subject, description. So again, in the under the UI API, when we pass the create case input, we have to specify the number of parameters and their specific values assigned to them. Now after that, you have the record option, which is the read after write. So we specify here the ID and the case number, because case number is generated when the case is saved in the Salesforce database. Also, we take a constant variable which contains all the attribute which we need to pass to case, to create case. Just like in our query, the variable is a separate parameter. After that, we call the await execute mutation. This is the function where we are going to pass. So here in the query parameter, we will pass the mutation because that is what it is getting passed. In the variables, we will assign the constant variables. So in response, let me clean up this autocomplete mess. In response, you will get the data. And what I want to do is I want to get the case number and display as a success message. So let me modify the code accordingly and see does it work or not. I will also log the error for just in case. Now on the HTML side as well, we'll specify the success message. Now let's save the changes and see our code changes are working or not. Now on the page, click on the add account, specify some test subject, description, and save. So we don't see any we don't see any success message. So basically something is going wrong. Let me investigate. So I have corrected few syntax changes and few major changes. For example, the account ID is a ID or reference. It's a data type specified for GraphQL, and the description is not string. It is a long text area. So we changed its attributes. Now let's save it and try again. After entering all this value, pyramid consulting. Now we see the case is created with the case number. We'll search on the search bar and we see the case has been created in Salesforce successfully. So this completes our GraphQL demo with query and mutation, both the examples. I'm sorry I didn't had much time to prepare the demo in a more structured way, but thanks for watching and have a nice day. Leave a comment if you want me to cover any specific topics.